Hello and welcome to Day 4 highlights from the 20th Biennial Convention of the American Postal Workers Union. I'm Celeste Crenshaw. Whether they're window clerks or truck drivers, support service workers or maintenance employees, postal workers know the challenges facing the Postal Service and the continuing threat of station and branch closings. These shutdowns undermine the future of quality universal service. But how to stop them? Delegates from local unions are sharing strategies that have been successful.
Well, originally in St. Louis, they had all 38 stations within the installation on the list for closure, and they pared that down to 9, and then it went down to 8. And in meetings with the postmaster in St. Louis, we were told that those stations and branches would definitely close. So we formulated a plan where we started a postcard campaign. We had postcards printed up addressed to the district manager, the postmaster, the congressman in the area, and the 2 state senators. And it had a pre-printed message on the back about the closure and that the post office was a public service and so forth. And the members and myself would stand outside of various stations and branches, similar to like Soulard Post Office close to the Union Hall, or Jefferson Memorial in downtown St. Louis, and we would ask people coming into the station if they wanted their post office to close, and of course they said no. So we showed them our cards, had them read the pre-printed message, and we asked that if they agreed with it, would they sign it and send a complete set, which would be 2 senators, 1 congressman, and the 2 postal officials. And overwhelmingly they agreed to do this, and they signed these cards and mailed them in to the elected officials and the postal officials to stop the station and branch closures. They wanted to close these post offices, the Postal Service did, and the union can talk all day and they would never do anything, but generating public interest and public support was the key.
It's very important to have a point person to spearhead the effort to inform the public out there and to contact your Congress people. We wouldn't have been successful had we not appointed Barnessa Chatterfield. She's our Assistant Human Relations Director, and she's a people person, and you have to be a people person. You have to be able to engage with anybody and everybody, and that was the key to our success. Barnessa has been able to go out there and talk to mayors, pastors, Congress people, our people with an APWU, and you just got to get the everyday people involved. And we've also had informational pickets. But I believe that the key to our success was to go to those council meetings and let the local politicians know how their service would be affected and how there would be a degradation of their service. And that's where our success came. There are bumps in the road because, it is what it is. We're dealing with Republican congressmen and, the Democratic congressmen. They are our friends, but we did get some relief from some Republican congressmen. But with those congressmen, you just have to apply a little more pressure, because when it comes right down to it, your vote puts them in or it puts them out. And that's the pressure we put on. Hey, look, we represent over 2,000 postal employees with families and friends, and if you don't support us, then we're not going to support you.
Because the decisions union members make in the voting booth affect their success at the bargaining table, the Postal Workers Union takes part in the political process. Every convention, the union holds an event to recognize members who have raised funds for candidates who support working people. Legislative and Political Director Mike Reed says it's critical for members to get involved in choosing their representatives at all levels of government.
COPA is the American Postal Workers Union Committee on Political Action. It's a political action fund that allows our members, the employees of the Postal Service, to contribute to the political process. They certainly don't have the millions and billions of dollars that are being spent in politics today. So it's a way for the working people, the members of our union, to contribute to political candidates. Well, right now, the #1 issue we have is finances of the Postal Service. Legislation passed in 2006 stripped the Postal Service of the ability to function and operate in a financially viable position. And so we're working with members of Congress to develop legislation that will allow the Postal Service to return to financial viability, thereby preventing the Postal Service from coming up with ideas that we think are overreactions to a current economic downturn. They are required to pre-fund retirement health benefits to the tune of $5.5 billion a year. Postal Service also pays about $2 billion a year to pay for retirement for its employees. So the Postal Service starts off every year to the tune of about $7.5 billion in the hole. We have two reports now, one from the Office of the Inspector General of the Postal Service and one from the Postal Regulatory Commission that shows that the Postal Service has overpaid anywhere in the neighborhood of $55 to $75 billion. If the Postal Service were to get credit for those overpayments, they would be in a much better financial situation, and the Postal Service could, at that point, stop coming up with ideas that are detrimental to the Postal Service, such as 5-day delivery in lieu of 6-day delivery. I think our members should really be concerned about the midterm elections. The likelihood of Speaker John Boehner, well, it's certainly going to be a more anti-worker focused agenda than we've had in the past. Republicans have made their position clear. We've certainly supported the Employee Free Choice Act. It's one of the #1 agenda items for working people and the unions in this country. Republicans have made it clear they will not address it, they will not accept it, they will not support it. So those and other issues on the labor agenda are things that we know will go by the wayside if the Republicans take control of the Congress in November. So our members should be aware, they should be alert, they should go out and help us, and we want to fight this as much as we can to make sure that labor-friendly candidates are elected to the House of Representatives and the United States Senate.
Shortly after the convention ends, the APWU will go into bargaining with the Postal Service. Resolutions that delegates adopted will guide the union's negotiating team. Mike Dennehy, chair of the Labor Management Committee, explains.
Well, the Labor Management Committee deals with contract suggestions, and people submit resolutions to address potential problems and sometimes current problems. And it's clearly the focus, the concern of the members in this convention relates to Postal Service excessing. It's going on across the country, and we have a lot of problems with it, and the members seem to have a lot of issues addressed. Excessing is the Postal Service's way of reassigning employees from where they believe they have too many to areas where there's not enough. Many industries, they would lay people off. In the Postal Service, we have excessing. The problem for our members is sometimes they're reassigned to distant facilities or to work that they either don't want to do or may be physically unable to do. So it comes with its own problems. Certainly better than being laid off, but it has problems by itself.
Delegates adopted resolutions to improve the collective bargaining agreement and address the problem of excessing.
Our members feel that the upheaval caused by excessing is too extreme, and that the Postal Service has many other ways to achieve the cost savings they desire other than tossing our members' lives upside down. And that's how the people feel, is that it's gone beyond any degree of reasonableness. The resolutions have been submitted, they've been passed at locals or state organizations at their conventions over the past 2 years and have been brought here. Some issues have been out there for years. The national negotiators, I think they take this as a sense of direction, not necessarily complete mandates, but then when they go to the bargaining table, which will start really at the beginning of September, they at least have a good feel of what the members would like to see them accomplish. And, in a perfect world, they'd be able to get exactly, but I think it's more guidelines, it's a sense of the membership.